Forbes India D2C LevelUp Conclave, presented by DTDC.
India's D2C market is on the fast track to a projected $60 billion valuation by 2027. The big questions are, how do we scale smarter, personalize better, and deliver faster? To explore these pressing questions, Forbes India hosted the D2C LevelUp Conclave presented by DTDC, a platform where industry leaders and visionaries come together to unravel the art of balancing innovation with efficiency, harnessing technology, and designing retail experiences that seamlessly blend the physical and digital worlds to meet consumer demands wherever they are. The event kicked off with an inspiring keynote address by Ajay Sukhwani, Integrated E-commerce Head at DTDC, who shared insights on the future of D2C logistics, speed, scale, and consumer delight.
Let me take you somewhere. Let's picture this. You have created a brand, a product, a company, something which is very incredible, something which has not only filled a gap in the market, but has also really created excitement. Your customers simply loves you. They are finding you on Instagram, they are finding you on your website, they are finding you almost everywhere. You started with few orders, scaled up to 100. That's where now you've started thinking about scale. You have started thinking about how to take a next big leap. Then hits you the harsh reality. Logistics, fulfillment, customer expectations. All of this are evolving at a much faster pace than we all can adapt to. Some of you are wondering how to deliver faster. Some of you are wondering how to deliver smarter. But all of you are thinking one thing which is very common in all of you, how to make logistics a biggest competitive advantage instead of treating that as a challenge. So let's get started. Let's level up. Welcome to an evening of possibilities. And it's an absolute honor and pleasure to host you all at this summit. Thank you.
Following the keynote, a series of engaging fireside chats and dynamic panel discussions took center stage. One standout fireside chat titled "From Convenience to Control: Why D2C Brands Should Build Their Own Rapid Commerce Ecosystem" shed light on the strategies shaping the future of quick commerce.
If I begin with your brand, the House of Chikankari, today what you see is what you sell, right? Is what many would believe. I don't know if you agree with that, but you were also one of the brands that were featured on Shark Tank, right? Many would say that gives you instant, maybe fame, a lot of customers, a lot of penetration overnight. But I also want to understand, with that fame, I'm sure comes a lot of responsibility, which is, if I start getting the kind of inquiries and orders, do I have the infrastructure to deal with it? And also, do I have the kind of people to deal with it? So I want to first understand how that experience happens overnight. Is it overwhelming?
So coming to the Shark Tank question, I think prior to Shark Tank, honestly, we were at a fairly decent scale, but the team, a lot of the things were not organized within. A lot of our logistics, order fulfillment, our websites made on Shopify, so we had some Shopify plugins we were doing on those. We had very basic level stuff. A lot of labels were also printed by me and my team. So it was quite unorganized, honestly. Prior to Shark Tank, because we realized, even though we do get that uptick of sales for, say, the next 1 month, and then obviously it normalizes, and then you have to maintain your intention and figure out how you're going to retain those sales over time. That taught us and gave us a very good lesson that we need to optimize for our backend, optimize for our fulfillment, have a lot more control on the process. So that was, I would say, not the best time for us to handle our operations, but it taught us a lot on how we would deal with things when we do scale to that number, consistently. So we used that time, we used that lesson. We partnered with Unicommerce, so our order fulfillment happens there. So warehousing and our packaging was always happening in our own warehouse. Packaging, I would say, in our experience, as from a brand perspective, having it in our control and having the uniqueness in our packaging, the little freebies that we would give, or how we would revamp it for every occasion. Say if it's Diwali, we would tweak the packaging a bit. That has been a really strong, I would say, point for us. Even in most of our reviews, packaging is something that customers are always praising. So I think that part of fulfillment, having it in our control since day one and not outsourcing it or having a 3PL partner, doing the logistics has been an advantage.
So help me understand what are some of the fundamental issues or roadblocks that you see with brands when an episode like this happens, and that's when people like you come in, and what is the kind of immediate steps that are required to overcome these challenges? Because what we need to understand is when a situation like this is happening, there's not much time to turn around things. As she said, it was all hands on deck, family members come in, friends come in. But from a long-term perspective, what are some of the issues that you can keep in mind to have immediate solutions?
Ridhima, I think a lot of the clue or I think the way to answer that question probably stems from what Akriti said. When you start something new, there is that euphoria, there is the excitement, but very soon the pressure of having to live up to that expectation really starts catching up. And logistics is nothing but that point in time when you realize that now this is beyond my physical and human ability to do this all on my own, right? If you look at India's e-commerce journey, the big marketplaces might have been the ones that made e-commerce get into everybody's households, but it is the D2C brands, especially in the post-COVID era, that have made e-commerce sustainable and successful. And whatever stories we will hear and talk about today, the most critical point I feel for all brands that are starting their journey, getting that initial hype phase successfully covered, is how do we make this scalable? Yeah. And I want to add the dimension that the definition of scalability itself is changing very rapidly. Coincidentally, the word rapid commerce will come in.
Can we have a huge round of applause as we thank our lovely speakers, Abhishek and Akriti. Thank you so much for taking up the time, and I really hope that this was helpful to many brands. Some context.
Another highlight was a power-packed panel discussion featuring some of the brightest minds from India's most progressive consumer brands to discuss the topic omni-channel commerce, bridging online and offline for seamless experiences.
Libas initially started as an online first brand and then forayed into offline as well. I wanted to understand what created that shift or what prompted that shift.
So I think over the years, once we started digitally, of course, we were scaling really fast, and I think that time the word was that online is here to take over the offline business, and online commerce is going to be the only commerce over the next few years, right? And as years progressed, all of us have seen that that's clearly not the case, where there are online is one platform or a channel, offline is another, now quick commerce is another. So I think what we've learned over the years is that all channels are here to exist, and people, the same consumer, like earlier they used to say online consumer is different, offline consumer is different, but now we all know that that's not the case. The same consumer is actually reaching brands or using brands or consuming brands across multiple touch points and multiple platforms.
Same question to you. What prompted the need? What was this lag that you identified, or what was the need that you thought, okay, this is the time for us to integrate both?
So the markets are very dynamic, the product market fit is where I think a brand really germinates or starts, and it could be anywhere. It could be in a modern trade outlet. It could be on quick commerce today. It could be, in the 2017, 19, 18 era. It could be the Amazons and Flipkarts of the world. So my point is that when you start somewhere, you have to find that product market fit as a brand owner. Once you get that fit, you have aspirations to grow, because as a brand, the biggest joy that one gets is by having more consumers use the brand. Mostly, you're the right consumers for you. And as those channels expand, you have to go beyond product market fit to product market channel fit. And every channel behaves differently, especially for FMCG.
I want to understand first from you, are you seeing some of maybe the newer brands or much smaller brands trying to jump ship much quicker than what they should be to try and be more omnipresent and to have this omni-channel presence?
If I look at brands of the time, so today a large part of the ecosystem is very fungible. Anybody can find a supply chain very quickly. They can quickly find partnerships across logistics. There's a lot of that sort of happening. So in that first wave, for us, it was really getting on to, if you're a challenger brand, the biggest challenges for us were building trust. So we started online, but we figured that if we had to grow and be a true challenger, we had to bridge trust. So that's when, honestly, we forayed into offline, because we wanted customers to touch and feel the product, get a sense of confidence that if you don't get the fit right, or if our attributions of quality are true, if you wanted to start there.
From your perspective, what are some of those strategies that you're putting in place to also help brands make this transition or make this seamless integration far more possible today?
So marketplace business has been always very competitive. The journey of selling on a marketplace doesn't end when you deliver an order. It technically ends 30 days thereafter. So if you look at solving that particular problem, where you will have to first make sure that the order has been placed. So you spend a lot of time on marketing, and then once you get an order, you pack it and you ship it. So now, because of the quick commerce, and probably I learned a new word, rapid commerce, today. So all these things come as a different ways to deliver to the buyer. And everything comes with a price.
Sure.
So because we are more focused on a price, we'll always have to make sure that it solves everything at the right price.
So help me understand, how are you ensuring that you're streamlining all these parameters as a service logistics provider?
Well, if you have heard what the panelists said, and I'm sure everyone here who is in the D2C brand, and I keep fumbling, the DTDC and the D2C is like so integrated together. I keep fumbling on that. So when brands need different levels of services, it's imperative that a logistic partner has to understand that and be able to cater to it.
True.
So a big part of what we do is understanding the requirement, and therefore quickly be able to build the infrastructure that we have, the engines behind, ensure that is working faster than what the brands can really sell at. So I think that is something we are doing, and we keep looking at our planning and engineering around it.
This has been an absolutely riveting conversation. Thank you for being extremely candid, truthful, and also doling out that advice for brands who could be in the same position. Thank you so much.
Forbes India D2C LevelUp Conclave, presented by DTDC.
At the D2C LevelUp Conclave, presented by DTDC, thought leaders came together to decode the future of direct-to-consumer innovation. Insightful fireside chats and panel discussions uncovered strategies to balance innovation with efficiency while designing retail journeys that meet consumer needs wherever they are. One such compelling session, Beyond the Cart, Reinventing Retail in the D2C Era, was moderated by Forbes India Associate Editor Neha Bothra.
So tell me a bit, Avilo, I'll come to you first. If I'm not mistaken, 550 revenue-generating startups have been guided by you and mentored by you.
From Kolkata Ventures, yes.
From Kolkata Ventures, yes. So tell me a bit about, when you interact with them, what do you pick up from them? Because online is very different from offline. So as they make the journey of transition from online D2C players to actually making a mark in the offline space where there are already so many established players, what are some common glitches that they encounter, and how do they address these challenges?
These are very basic problems that we see our startups facing, which is lack of network. They know very well how to use digital marketing, but when it comes to retailers, when it comes to talking to a purchase officer, when it comes to connecting even, right, getting into quick commerce, it's a black box. And a lot of times, the retailers don't respond, the distributors don't respond, because you're a startup. They don't know if you can scale up, right? And to build that trust, to make sure they give you a chance, right? It takes a lot of effort, and that's why we come in as Kolkata Ventures. We have our set of investors, we have industry leaders, and we say, we trust this brand, we are funding them, we will make sure they scale up, kindly give them a chance.
Jitendra, you are in a very interesting area, one area which requires a lot of touch and feel, as someone just mentioned. How do you educate your potential consumers? How do you do that?
So, for example, a category like ours, which is, let's say, a human hair extensions category. So, basically a category which is in the creation phase and which is also kind of high average order value also. So, one thing that is very, very important is that touch and feel that a consumer needs. And that is where, the need for offline or the retail definitely comes into picture. So, in our case, for example, in our journey, how we started was, we started doing first the video consultations from our websites and like with experts. But, the common question that keeps coming, or even on DMs, is like, where can I try your products?
Indeed.
So obviously, more than us, the consumers started telling us that offline is the strategy for us. Just to give you an example, our online average order value is 1,800 rupees and our offline average order value is 5 times of that. So I think offline versus online, it also is very much dependent on the type of product and also on the average order value of a product. For example, I would not mind buying a 20 rupees or a 100 rupees thing maybe from quick commerce. But if it is 2,000, 3,000 rupees or even more, obviously a offline channel becomes a priority for many people out there.
Thank you so much for being such a fabulous audience. Thank you, speakers. It was great having you here.
The event concluded on a high note with a forward-thinking panel discussion featuring leaders from pioneering tech firms. The theme, harnessing artificial intelligence for personalized customer experiences. A fitting finale to a day packed with insights, ideas, and inspiration.
Tell us a bit about how you are using artificial intelligence to understand consumer behavior, to shape consumer experiences. If you can help us with a few case studies to help us understand what impact you've been able to drive using artificial intelligence, that would be very useful for the audience.
So first of all, artificial intelligence is a super game changer. It actually, I just stop in terms of amazing it, the kind of capabilities AI today have. Years back, we used Google as a search engine, and consumers used to go on Google and they used to search for a specific product or a need which they used to key in. And then Google used to throw a lot of pages in terms of what all available search options it has come out, right? And consumers actually had to go through all that pain, through all those search pages, and find that particular product and which matches their specific need. So it was a very tedious, and I feel now with AI coming into the picture, and very time-taking exercise. But now with AI, I think it has quite simplified in terms of everything. Everything that today you want to do with AI, it's 1000x. I mean that you would have 1,000 people right now working for you as an AI without even burning your money.
Let me bring you into the conversation, Vivek. Now, you interact with a lot of companies. In fact, there is a lot of enthusiasm to also incorporate AI strategies. Tell us about how you can measure the outcomes. Now, while companies want to integrate this in real terms, what's the measurable impact?
Thanks, Neha, for asking the question. I'm sure I'm going to repeat something what Abhinav has already said, but the context today is D2C and how the brands are performing here in India. So let me pick some of the examples of what has happened in India, in our country, and how AI is really helping customer experience get better by the day. So if you look at the entire customer experience and journey, that's gone super amplified over the last decade or so. product recommendation, while Abhinav was mentioning about it, look at easy categories like fashion, retail, food, to complex category like pharma, like insurance. AI can really hone on to your data, both digital and otherwise. Look at your past behavior and recommend, and also your profile, and recommend products that are really, really personalized for you. So that's a big, big thing, not only in simple categories, but also in complex categories. Customer service, another critical area, where the responses when the queries come are so templatized and the actionables are so clear, so fast-paced. Look at food platforms, right? Food delivery platforms. The experience people are gaining there, they are trying to have the same experience in other platform experience that they derive, which is so difficult to replicate. So AI is really game-changing there as well.
Interesting. Abhinav, while now you're focusing a lot on retail, you've had the experience of fintech when you worked at Paytm as well. Tell us a bit about what are some key lessons you are now using when you are using AI-driven strategies at Fundle to bring about the changes for consumers as you described in your previous responses.
Sure. So at Paytm, we M Loyal, which is the mobile loyalty platform. We work with multiple brands across various industry segments, whether these are airline loyalty or whether it's a fashion or a food, is where we were able to capture data by integrating with the POS, the e-com website in D2C cases, get hordes and hordes of data into our system, is where we had multiple team members at the back end who used to crunch this data. And then once they are able to crunch it is when they created segmentations or cohorts, is then we were able to retarget those sets of consumers.
So on that note, we'll wrap the discussion. Thank you so much, Abhinav and Vivek. This was a very interesting discussion. Thank you for your time.
Forbes India D2C LevelUp Conclave, presented by DTDC.